Hello Year 4, this is your lesson for Benin for Tuesday the 2nd of February, and it's great fun because I'm learning all about Benin just to add to some of the resources you've already got. So what do we already know? I know you've been looking at Benin this term. So the first dynasty of the Edo people were ruled by Osigos, and they built the foundations for a great civilization that became a significant central hub for trade between southern West Africa and the European countries like Portugal. So Benin was a really important part of the trading routes, and it did incredibly well. By making their settlements safe and secure with a powerful army and massive defensive fortifications, the people of the kingdom were able to create the conditions for successful trade. So they really looked after themselves by making sure they were safe. And by being safe, they built amazing structures. Skillful craft workers, which I have a feeling you might already know about because you've done some work on the bronzes, made desirable goods to be sold in the marketplaces. With guilds for brass, textiles, ivory, leather and pottery, the empire became very prosperous. So those guilds would look after all the craftspeople, and they would join together to be able to work together. Great wealth was also brought, colonizers from other lands. So first of all the Portuguese got involved, and then the British, who in the late 19th century destroyed the spectacular walls of Benin City and took control of the kingdom. And we're going to look at those walls in a moment. So, our learning objective for today's lesson is, can I explain why the Great Wall was built and how? We don't have a huge amount of information, but we need to find out why was it built, how was it built, what's left of it today, and how does it compare to other great walls, and can you name any? I wonder if you can work out what I'm thinking about. Pause the video here and just have a bit of a think. So in that last slide, I asked you to think about any other great walls. And the one I'm thinking about is the Great Wall of China, which I've always thought of as the biggest wall in the world. I wonder. So we'll come back to that in a minute. So some of the vocabulary we're going to be using. Fortifications means buildings, walls and ditches to protect a place. Ramparts are walls built to protect a city. And archaeologists, which I think you'll know, people who study the past by examining remains and objects. So, Benin, what is Benin famous for? The Kingdom of Benin is famous for its large defensive walls, sometimes called the Great Walls of Benin. Now, I don't know about you, but I didn't know very much about these walls, and I think there's a lot more to find out. On the Google Classroom stream, there is a video about 2 children that's talking about creating the wall. Well worth watching. So work started on the walls in the 800s, and it took 600 years to complete the 16,000 kilometres long fortifications. That's about 10,000 miles. That's awfully long. And if you think they didn't have diggers, and they didn't have bulldozers, and they didn't have lorries to carry it all away, it is the most enormous wall that was ever built without any mechanical interventions. So just think about that. Just building a small wall without a digger or anything like that nowadays would take ages. Can you imagine what it was like to build a wall like that? So why was it built? Well, it was built to protect the Edo people from invaders. So if you're faced with a wall that's about 60 metres high, do I mean metres? I might mean feet. 60 feet high in places, you're not going to climb up it, are you? They were constructed out of earth and made into ramparts with large ditches dug for moats. What do you put in a moat? Have a think. You're right, usually water. Now, I wonder how much water they had. They had access, didn't they, to seawater. So if you've got ramparts which would be sloped, I wonder if you could start sketching what you think this wall might be made, what it might look like. And if they had a moat, what would be in the moat if there wasn't any water? Have a think, and then I'll listen to your ideas when you've done this. So archaeologists think it might have taken as many as 150 million hours of digging by the Edo people to construct this incredible structure. 150 million hours. That's an awfully long time. So I want you to sketch on a piece of paper what you think the wall might have looked like because it's being dug out of the earth. What the ramparts might have looked like. What would be on a rampart to stop you climbing it? How would you make it? Would it be rough or would it be smooth? What would be in the moat? Would the moat be rocks, dust, water? What could be in the moat to make it somewhere you're not going to want to go? Have another think and a bit of a sketch. So, questions. You know how much I love a question. What was the purpose of the Great Walls of Benin? How many hours did it take to build the Great Walls of Benin, do we think? Describe what is meant by the word fortifications. What does an archaeologist do? And explain, if you can, the construction techniques used in building the Great Walls of Benin. Now, we didn't talk very much about that, but I wonder if you could do a little bit of research. And if you watch some of the videos that have been posted, you might be able to answer all those questions. Have fun, but I can't wait to see your drawings of what you think the Great Wall might have looked like.